Hi, this is another update about the counselling school. It's been about 2 weeks since I've updated via a newsletter, and so much has been taught, so I just felt like I should do another video, otherwise it's going to be too much to cram into a video. But recently we've been doing grief and trauma, that was last week, and this week we're doing addictive behaviours and eating disorders. Last week was so good. Like, I've not really received that much teaching about grief and trauma before, really at all. Like, grief is something which is glossed over a lot in the UK. Well, in a lot of the developing world, grief is seen as something which it happens, it's understandable, but it's not something which you're to dwell on for a long period of time. One of the things which stood out to me was they talked about that there is they took a poll in America, I think, for how long people should grieve for, how long the grieving process takes, and the poll came back to say 48 hours to 2 weeks. So that's a really short period of time to grieve over someone who has left your life in the biggest way possible. And what was spoken was that the actual time that it takes for people to grieve and really get through it in a way which brings healing and like properly processing everything, it actually takes 6 months to 2 years, and it really depends on how close you are to the people, how much they meant to you, just the significance of them in your life, like how much you really just invested into them and how much they were really a part of your life. So like the grieving process can take a long time. And also another thing is grief it doesn't just happen when a person dies in your life. Like, you can grieve over significant changes in your life, like a job change, or over house moving, or over a friend change, or relationship breakup, or divorce is pretty much in the same category as grief, as though you have lost a loved one, because there is a splitting of a commitment that has been made. There is a complete change of lifestyle. You are no longer a married person, you are a single person, you are a divorcee, and there's so many different things that can happen alongside these things, to do with childcare, to do with money, finances, all these different things. So divorce is pretty much up there with grieving someone like a family member or spouse or a child. But it was just really interesting learning about practical steps that we can take in helping someone grieve. The biggest thing, I think, is listening. Listening is incredibly important, and to really allow a person to process in the ways that they need to process, because anger is a normal part of grieving. So is depression and feeling numb, and all of these different things that you see when someone's grieving. Just really allowing them to walk through the process and walk it through in its fullness, not trying to get them to skip steps or not allowing them to skip steps, but like bringing them back to really processing what's happened, really coming to terms with the way that their life has changed and will be changing since they have lost a loved one. And another significant thing that stood out was that grieving doesn't actually start until after the funeral, because that's when you go back into like a normal life setting, like when you really go back into what your life was like before. Whereas before the funeral, you're working towards a funeral, you're working towards getting things organized, informing people, all these different things. So the funeral is like, it's not even the first step to grieving. Like, it's really difficult to grieve at a funeral because of all the different things that have been happening. So usually the grief process really starts when the funeral is over. So it was just a really interesting week of learning about grief and about trauma, how it affects someone, like how to help someone who has experienced great trauma, whether that is a death of a loved one or abuse or some form of attack or unexpected event, and just the way that that has really shook them in different ways. It's just been such an interesting week, and I've learned so much, and just the different practical steps that they gave us and how to really help someone. Like, I already feel more equipped. Like, I don't have all the answers, and that's actually something which is really good to know, that we don't have all the answers. We don't need to give the positive gloss over responses. Like, it is okay to just listen. It is okay just to sit with that person. It is okay just to give practical steps, like helping with childcare, helping with food, helping with things, because sometimes that helps a lot more than the well, God is with you, or at least you had this amount of life with them, or they've gone to a better place. Like those things we want to say because we feel so awkward about it all, and it's really difficult, and we want to help people and we want to take the pain away, but those sayings really don't help very much at all. And it's more about what we do, how we show them love, how we are with them throughout the whole process, not just before the funeral and during the funeral, but after the funeral, when it's so key that we help people. But yeah, it's just been a really good week of learning about grief and trauma. This week is addictive behaviors and eating disorders, so it's already lots of interesting things that are happening. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I will be sending another update soon. Bye.